Hello, everyone. We got. How do you do a vodka in a Caribbean accent? It's hilarious.
How do
We
you
got
do a
Rush
vodka
there
in
on
a
the the YouTube page going vodka, and there's Eddie. Oh, there's a crazy way to start the video. Eh? Anyway, I saw Rush go vodka there on YouTube, and it just made me laugh. Anyway, hello, everyone. There's a screwy start to the video, and a lot of people really like my intro. So okay, let's start again. Right, we gotta be professional here. Damn it. Me, something like that. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show. I'm supposed to go. I think all the YouTubers like that stuff, right? Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to the frivolity. Hopefully, maybe we can get actually a nice soundbite out of that. We should probably have like an intro to these weekend shows, which are just little clips from week to week to week as Brian just does his crazy nutso-ness. Anyway, hello and welcome back to the frivolity. Where are we here? It is 10:39, 10:40 on the wet coast. Down here, 27th of November. Wow, just going headlong into the end of November. Man, that year 2022, man, that's gonna be one to remember. And if anything, we got one more month to get through. Then, of course, all you Benner cycle aficionados, we all understand that we still probably got another year or so to go on this nutso-ness, crazy economy, society spin that we're in right now. Don't let them shill you any wooden nickels, right? As they say. Just play it careful here. We're not out of the woods just yet, but hey, we're making progress. At least now you can say the fluff has been taken out of the speculative market. And if anything, the irony of it all is if you are actually here to make money from trading, and let's call a spade, folks. If you were, maybe you were just uneducated before, so you just didn't know any better. But if you were a buyer of Bitcoin at like 50 G's plus, you're not in the market to make money from trading. You're in the market to just do what all the popular kids are doing. And unfortunately, usually in capitalism, professional football players and supermodels promoting cryptocurrencies. Oh, God. Those people are not professional traders. They're not fund managers. They are the public. They are the personification of the public. And if anything, that should have been a major warning sign to all of you sharks out there in the trading world. But anyway, hopefully we've all learned from those lessons, especially those people that have sort of watched this video sort of privately through the week. Don't let good old Uncle Brian beat you up too much. You should have all gotten scolded. That what we just saw over the past couple years in the cryptocurrency market is just so typical venture capital, blow off top, public gets screwed. And unfortunately, it was also at the very end of a very long sort of demographic cycle. And usually what happens at the end of these cycles is you get these just absolute insane scandals. And the whole house of cards comes crashing down because it's sort of like, there's like it's like a vortex, like when you flush the toilet and you see the water going down, or you dump the water out of a sink or something and down the drain, and it just gets feeding on itself faster and faster, and it goes tighter and tighter and tighter. And you can make the argument that speculative markets do exactly the same thing. And basically you can, the irony of it all is you can set your watch to this stuff. It happens about once every 15, 20 years. if anything, we should all sort of breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, thank goodness the peak of the insanity is over. And now we're just cleaning up the pieces on the other side. So, there's your backdrop. The great part about it is, I saw somebody even post there in the YouTube chat, and really, I got to say, this is an absolutely perfect testament to exactly why it is we do what we do. This gentleman says, I've been a TRI member since 2015, and it was the best thing I ever did to be financially better off. Well said, sir. I won't name names. I'm sure you can all see that. But, the point here is we teach people how to behave. I mean, that's what we do. We don't really necessarily going to give you the next hot pick that's going to make you $1 bazillion. Although I have to say that, Sjord, for the record, he was telling everybody at TRI to buy Luna when it was like 50, 60, 70 cents. So, Mr. CTO at TRI, he knows his crypto, and my hunch is he will know what the next hot story is to get involved in. In fact, actually, it's kind of funny right now. What's the music girl that? This goes to show how old I am. What is it? Maybe Chris, you can help me with this. There's a girl that is a music, and she like broke a Ticketmaster.
Oh, you're talking about Taylor Swift. Yeah.
There you go, Taylor Swift. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. I remember my nephew, JoJo's brother's boy. He was all in love with her back in 2006, 2007, 2008. Yeah. Anyway. And interestingly enough, Sjord actually brought on a cryptocurrency developer who is specifically addressing that part of the market through crypto, which was fascinating. So it just goes to show Sjord is right in the thick of it, and he's right in that Ticketmaster. That's such a mess, and probably now the market is ripe for competitors. So I would do, the cool part about TRI is that we come at this from so many different perspectives. I mean, not only are we going to teach you how to behave and how to sort of build a small business of trading, but also too, I mean, like I said, TRI CTO Sjord, he's right. And a lot of people in our community are right in the thick of crypto and the technology. And our community is a great place just to hang out and just sort of listen to, what's the scuttlebutt in the industry. Anyway, I don't know where to begin this show today. I've already been blabbing for 5-10 minutes, but there's so many things that I could talk to all of you guys about. As I said there, just listening to some of your posts that you're posting there on the YouTube chat, I could just spend that. Look at this. Another person says here, I took the level 1 program and it has been well worth it. I am so glad to have found Brian and TRI. I will definitely be taking 2 and 3 in the near future. Oh, that's cool. What a fantastic endorsement. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Let's see. So like I said, I mean, there's so many different things that we can talk about. It is that Black Friday sort of window, right? Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that. And actually, as a special treat for all of you guys to kind of incentivize, especially you crypto kids, I spent some time through the weekend. Like we have a package, and the package is primarily for site members. So it's not really to shill the public. What I really want is I would like to see as many people on the site sign up for our dashboard. And I know a lot of you are very crypto oriented. I think the dashboard data and the signaling systems are just fantastic tools. The data coming back and the work that our marketing department is doing, sort of, how do you say this? Presenting this information, presenting this concept to you, I think is just fantastic. So hats off to Josh. He puts this page together really nicely. And, as sort of an added incentive to have TRIs, TRIers, people who are part of our community, people who have taken our education program. It is open to the public, but please understand that, primarily I'm speaking to sort of people who understand how TRI operates, understanding what key reversal signals are. This is a huge part of our education program. So you'd have to understand what this particular candlestick pattern is to appreciate. This is some pretty darn juicy wins. Anyway, Josh has put this together so nice and prettily. And I do know, in fact, I had a couple other people even say, well, Brian, I'm primarily crypto oriented, and I know this is so pretty, and it's the S&P 500, and there's all sorts of commodities and sectors, but I'm a crypto guy, and so I think this show really speaks to crypto kind of people. And so actually what I did through the weekend is as part of the sort of dashboard subscription sort of pro package here at TRI, I spent some time this weekend and I put together this is a fantastic illustration, number one, of how you can build your own custom dashboards at TRI. And then number two, if you actually set this up, and I'm going to set this particular dashboard up as sort of a template, and I'm going to ask the team to simply add it to the breadth subscription. I think we call it an add-on right now, and that's basically what this page is. Where are we here? This page. I think we're probably going to be charging about $60 a month. So the deal right now is it's about a 50% discount, which I think is fantastic. It's a total steal. You can make up the money for the subscription dollars spent on this on like literally one trade. But I did have a lot of people say, well, Brian, I need some help. I mean, yes, I can build this on my own, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And I'm crypto. I like crypto. So, I mean, I know you've got your breadth and you've got your signals, in the stock market, but I don't care about the stock market. I just want crypto. So I actually took some time this weekend and I just built out a crypto dashboard. And I've asked the team if we can add this into the subscription package. And I got to tell you, for a crypto enthusiast, this is your one-stop shop. I mean, this is absolutely perfect. We've broken the market down by many different ways. Stuart, for instance, through the API, he can go and grab all the coins on Binance. So technically, you could just pop on here and click on Binance and just literally surf the entire Binance universe. There's 1,432 names on Binance. And you can actually sort the entire universe by, okay, well, what's the best rated names on Binance right now? I don't want to screw around with crap that's going to waste my time. And oh, what a surprise. BNB versus ETH is the number one rated name on Binance right now. How ironic. But I don't know whether you've been watching my Twitter feed lately, but wow, I've been going crazy about how Litecoin just looks so damn hot here. Sexy sex. I mean, let's just see what Litecoin looks like. So there's Litecoin versus ETH. Isn't this cool? XLTCZEUR. Wow, what a chart. Anyway, it's just beautiful. I mean, this dashboard is just so perfect. So, I mean, you can sit and, a lot of people actually are trading the breadth indicator, just, okay, when to buy, when to sell. Like I said, if you are a site member and you are interested, and by all means, we can open this up to the public, but understand you got to be a site member to actually access the pro dashboard. So just be aware of that. But as I said there, the boys were putting together the data sets on just like using the breadth indicator to frame BTC. And it turns out that actually BTC, the numbers, just simply buying what the breadth tells you to buy and selling what the breadth tells you to sell, the spot market, 118% return over 2022. How's Bitcoin done this past year? Has it done relatively well? I don't think so. I mean, this is incredible. It's just so absolutely beautiful. So anyway, the point being that some people were like, well, Brian, like I'm crypto. I like crypto. And so I put this page together, and literally this is the entire crypto verse, like it just at your fingertips. Like I said, we can surf through all of the names on Binance. We got all of the names from Kraken. We've got our crypto top 30 universe. We've got the entire crypto universe with all of the bullish proxies and bear proxies and the whole darn thing. Also, too, in this, I've included in the stock market communication services, internet content and information providers, internet retailers, and of course, the technology sub-index, which is basically like the Nasdaq 100. And look at what we've got here. Bull, 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 bull. What's going on here? Is this a bull market? Sure looks like it to me. On top of that, I've included our simple breadth illustration, so you can actually clearly see where the breadth actually started to turn back up here, as well as the crypto verse. The cool thing about the crypto verse is that, like I said there a moment ago, it actually includes all the bull and bear proxies. So very rarely does the crypto verse ever go like egregiously overbought or oversold, because it, like if it's oversold, the bear proxies will be bullish, so they'll actually tilt it up. But the point here is you can basically, okay, well, let's go take a look at the crypto verse. Who's outperforming? Oh, what a surprise. There's Litecoin again. Oh, my gee whiz, Charlie Lee's coming at us from 20 different directions. So in the entire crypto universe, the number one rated issue right now in the entire cryptoverse is Litecoin versus Tether. Man, this is so cool. And I mean, look at that. The chart speaks for itself. I thought, gee whiz, that's a damn uppy looking chart. I was even putting tweets out going like, holy Jesus, we got monthly W's coming in here. What the hell's going on? So anyway, go figure. So I wanted to mention that right out of the gate was, oh, darn, and I just put the darn thing away. Well, let's see. How easy is it to reload that page? Look at that, right at your fingertips. Hot dang. So gotta say, man, this, and then on top of that, this is our weekly commodity trend survey. This is the survey that I used to do as a commodities broker, where I would just simply ask, where is the asset relative to its 52-week range? And of course, as institutional players, we want to buy the bottom ends of ranges and sell the top ends of ranges. And you can use the 50% rule, or basically halfway of that range, as sort of your mean. Well, if the market is substantially below the 50% level, maybe the asset's cheap. If the market is substantially higher than the 50% rule, maybe it's expensive. And then I just use a very simple moving average system that I've developed over the years that I've been in the market. Of course, taught in our education program, but this weekly 13 EMA, 30 SMA to just identify trend. And 6 is the absolute best score possible. It's basically saying that the trend is turned back up, and you can see 13 EMA is now above 30 SMA on our Litecoin buddy. And you can see where the 50% rules, even at $79 here, we are still almost half. Well, I guess it's getting less than that now, eh? But maybe it's still got a long way to go to get to that 50% rule. So, I mean, uber cool. And then, of course, isn't this interesting? There's BNB. Remember, we looked at Binance. What's the top rated name there? BNB, number 2 on our list. It's also got a 6, trending higher. Wow. Oh, my goodness. I mean, and I even said over the past few weeks that if you've been watching this, go back and watch some of these Broiler Chicken show from the past little while. I've been squawking. Broiler chicken. What does a chicken do? Does it squawk? Clucks. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, is OBS dying? See how the problem is I get all excited, right? Well, that might be on your end because I don't see it over here. You people over there on YouTube, can you give us some feedback? How's the quality of the video? I mean, I don't mind. I can load up OBS. Josh says, looks okay to me. All right. Oh, I just saw a flicker there. Yeah. All right. Well, I can load up OBS. I don't know what happens. Do we want to? You've got all the pretty pictures and everything and all in there too, though. Darn. I think I can maybe do this. I know I have two different ones. So I've got Brian Camera and then I've got Brian, that Video Ninja thing, right? That's what we're using. You guys over on YouTube, were you enjoying me going a little bit crazy here today? I mean, I gotta tell you, this dashboard is just, oh, it's heavenly. I mean, it just makes you just so giddy, like a schoolgirl. What do you think of this this template that I put together? Do you think would any of you like to use this? Okay, so I've hit okay. Now let's see what happens. Is that, hey, there it is. Look at that. It even kicked in. Okay, so I can take over this. What do you want me to do here? Should I just start streaming or do you want to kill it? Do we have like a time delay? What would happen here? Okay. Okay, so I think I'm streaming now from my end. Picture quality might have changed a little bit there for you folks. I hope this still looks relatively okay. Look at Nori. Geez, I think we were talking about Nori and his guns the other day, but we maybe won't talk about those things. Should I show his message? Let's see. Edward's got chicken. What do you think, guys? Am I coming through on YouTube? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And how about you guys in the Hangout? What are you guys seeing in the Hangout?
Nothing should have changed here in the Hangout. We still see what you're sharing, which is the dashboard, the crypto dashboard.
All right, everybody's saying loud and clear. All right, cool. So the point, let's see if I can remember where the heck I was. The point here is the dashboard now gives you just a nice simple overview of the entire crypto market here. We can look at all the Binance names, right? You can even look at all the technology names, the Nasdaq 100, internet-related companies, crypto top 30, entire crypto universe. You've got the crypto breadth indicator itself right here. And then I've also included, I know, for instance, Johnny Salmon, although I'm not quite sure what his name is these days. He in his trading model, he actually likes the idea of waiting for the S&P 500 breadth to agree with the crypto breadth before taking a signal. So it is kind of interesting how we had a little bit of a divergence there in the way that crypto was trying to press higher, but the stock market just wasn't ready to go. And crypto kind of floundered there for a little while, eh? And then all of a sudden, you know, things like Charlie just started to come alive here. You know, according to, you know, and like I said, I get all excited about this because there's just so much to talk about and there's so little time. And then I turn around and 2 hours has gone by and it's just like, wow, what did I even say half of what I wanted to say? So I've put together this dashboard. I'm asking Stuart if he can include it in the you know, the subscription package for the people that are specifically crypto oriented. As you can see, the leaderboard, who's really strong in the market right now, and then also to crypto universe. This is kind of fun going through here because you can see, like here you see Litecoin 3 times. It's because Stuart covers everything in the entire universe, so he's probably got like Litecoin versus the Turkish real. He's got the, okay, so that's just USDT. So that's Tether. I mean, I suppose that's a good sign. I mean, you don't know whether you really want to buy these things as they're coming up on the leaderboard. It just gives you an idea of who's strongest in the marketplace. And of course, right of our top list, the crypto top 30 list is just going to spit out 5s and 6s here. Well, no, it's going to spit out whatever the score is. But a 6 is actually a buy signal. It is, okay, the market is cheap. The market is trending higher. Get out there and start hunting long entries. So fascinating how the engine itself is telling us who's the strongest in the market right now. And the crypto top 30 sort of weekly commodity trend surveys telling us who's strongest in the market right now. And you're seeing a lot of correspondence. Actually, interestingly, if we come down to the, and I like this as, with this bottom 5 crypto top 30 or bottom 5 crypto universe, would this have been handy maybe about a year ago, thinking about putting shorts on in crypto? I mean, the cool part about it, finally, because I'm kind of like a bullish guy by nature. Yeah, I'll go buy puts, and I don't mind, selling futures contracts as short setups, but I don't like having open short positions on. But that's just a function of the risk taker that I am. I don't like to take a lot of risk. But at any given point in time, you can check out who's the worst performing names. And maybe you have one of these in your universe. And you might, if it's a trade, you might seriously think about hopping off. Well, and it turns out that actually I was in this uni. And I say was because, and the good part about it for like new people to the site, I do like to try and, try. I mean, I try my best. Nobody can be 100% perfect. But I do try and basically diarize and show every single trade that I do. And, sometimes you go through losing streaks and you kind of look like a doofus. But here, for example, I did strap on a uni trade. I put on this inverted head and shoulders, feeling very uppy, looking for 50% rules. I was thinking positive. I originally entered this trade with, I think, maybe a little too big of a risk window. Because in essence, I was buying at 7 and risking to 3. And that's not even Joe's six-pack. That's breaking Joe's six-pack's risk management rules. So, as you can see on Uni's recent dump here, it did bust out this inverted head and shoulders. And then I kind of looked at the trade and said, you know what, the market is invalidating this bullish thesis. And unfortunately, as it stands, bear A, B, C, D, and A, B, C, D. And if we think, excuse me, low to high trend lines, and we think megaphones. Can't remember where it was. I don't think it's on this chart. But I actually feel pretty confident that we're going to come down and trade down to this level, which ironically enough, based on my original trade entry, would be basically my stop. So in essence, A, B, C, D, they were going to take me down, flush me right out, probably put in a bottom, and then take the damn thing off. So on the break of the head and shoulders pattern, I just simply said, I don't need to be a hero here. We've made some great money in other cryptos here, flipping them over the past month or so. So, it turns out this was a $62 loss. Big flipping deal. And I actually do have stink bids to go and buy some against these lows and the ABCD PRZs. So, we'll see how that goes. But I did hop off and take the loss. And as you can see, I wrote it up. I think it's very important that we show new people to trading the amount of time and effort that's required into actually doing this thing called journaling and logging and diarizing everything that you do in the marketplace. And I just have to be a demonstrator of best practices. That's the only way you new people are going to see how important this is. And of course, like a demonstrator of best practices. That's really what I want to be. So to that end, I've also, and by the way, if you sign up, then you can look at my journal, but this should be your journal that really loads here. But I've also included the journaling tool down at the bottom, and you just saw how I'm journaling about how I lost money. Oh, way to go. But, you know, you got to be honest. You got to be straightforward. So, interesting how that uni there kind of crapping out. And I hopped off on that. Also, too, Josh, working with the marketing team, which I thought was super cool, outlined how this is just one particular screener that I have in the sort of preset screeners. This key reversal system that I was taught many, many years ago by old VSC floor brokers. And frankly speaking, you can see the percentage returns. In fact, the irony of it all is to make this look relatively believable, because you get to the point where you have 50 wins in a row. At some point, people go, is this really believable? Josh actually threw in a few losers in there just to smooth out the data, which I thought was hilarious. But I got to tell you, man, that damn powerful system. So on this dashboard as well. Now, the issue with crypto is that because it's 24/7, you very rarely get key reversal signals. And also, too, what I've noticed is that because of our crypto universe, we get a lot of sort of currency trade setups that happen to fall under the crypto umbrella, because there's tons of different currency pairs that trade within the crypto space. So it's kind of interesting how this data is coming up on the on this. Not too many actual crypto signals, more like just key reversals. And I think the way that Sjord has this right now is that it's just spitting out all of the key reversal signals. And you see there is some key reversals, like here, for example, Euro versus XLM. I think that's a crypto signal. But we'll be sort of polishing this up as we go forward here. And now that I have this on this template, I'll see it every day. And we'll see whether we're getting this more crisp. But the bottom line here is that this should be the crypto key reversals, which Josh has so colorfully illustrated are so killer. And then I have a very basic momentum screen. And also, too, we have the Davos in the TRI screeners. I might add that to this database as well, because I think those are really good signals as well. So just FYI to anybody who was kind of humming and hawing about whether they wanted to do the dashboard package, it's a bit of a crash course teaching yourself how to build these dashboards from scratch. So I thought I'd go through and build out this crypto dashboard for you guys specifically. And hopefully that incentivizes you to seriously consider joining the pro add-on package that we have. And as I said, I mean, for $30 a month, are you going to be able to find a trade idea here to maybe make $300-400 flipping some crypto to justify that subscription? I think so. Whether it be just something simple like I'm just going to go through and just peruse and just review charts. This BTS, BTC, no idea what this is. But, the cool part about these kind of momentum signals is, or I guess that's not really too helpful. You can, I think if I'm not mistaken, we can go view as grid. There we go. So that one obviously. Oh, hello! Look at that. COS versus BNB. Look at that huge pop. Is that not a W? So you could just sit here and just peruse through these things. Oh, geez, got any doubt? Look at some of these names are just exploding higher. So is it possible to grab a W off of this list and rock and roll and make some make the price of a subscription up very quickly? Absolutely. So the universe is at your fingertips, boys and girls. I'm so pleased to see the system up and running. Look at this one, CTPL versus USDT. Trying to perk up, you get a nice move through that top there, and this thing could just pop nicely. So anyway, it definitely gives you a fantastic base to sort of start your research on a daily basis. What do I want to consider in the cryptoverse today? So, okay, so I wanted to mention that, and the dovetails to that, of course, is all about this Black Friday deal. I would highly encourage you, if you are a site member, get that pro package set up. And if anything, we're looking forward to, if you're interested, we're going to be running these portfolios, especially with the leveraged ETFs. We might even consider options, and I'd be interested to see whether I can convince guys like Zach and Joe Z, who are our level 3 options course instructors, whether they could incorporate this into their spread trading that they're doing. I think it's super excited. Here's a really good example. This is the S&P 500 of the difference of performance. So, these, interestingly enough, the S&P is like down on the year. So if we just take the long and short signals, we actually had a nice little simple just spot market win. Here are the leveraged ETFs. So this is like 2 times, 3 times leveraged ETFs. They did really, really well. And then the options, but you have to understand, with options, they are insanely volatile. But they produce some absolutely insane numbers. But you just got to be able to handle the volatility. It's not for the light of heart, that's for sure. Anyway, so if you are a site member, I highly encourage you to take a serious look at this package deal offer. It's basically like a 50% discount to what we're probably going to be selling this thing for. And of course, if you're relatively new to all this, I really like the idea, and I like the fact that we actually started this from sort of, how do you approach all this investing, speculating in the market? And we have this education program that, I had the privilege to put together. I've been working in and around the securities industry for, 30 plus years. So I've been doing this a while. I have a pretty good idea of how this whole game works. And I think we've surrounded ourselves with some fantastic people I've trained. I mean, hell, Julian now alone, he and I have been working together since 2014. So technically, and basically Julian trading every single day. And man, as a new investor when he was young, he definitely went through some challenges. But he now has a regular report that he does on Thursdays on the site, the Baby Powder Report. I have to say, listening to him, he sounds like he's a good 5-10 year veteran trader now. Talking setups, talking levels, talking risk management, talking sort of very level-headedly. And I would argue that that's what we do at TRI. Some people, they pick up on this very, very quickly. Other people, it takes them a good 5-10 years to figure it out. But, what we do here at TRI works. We teach you the process. And really, to be able to take the full advantage of something like the breadth indicator, you really need to know how to run a small business of trading. So I like the dovetail. I like how we're building this website out, where not only are you going to get a good foundation in how to run a small business of trading. Keep yourself honest. Don't blow yourself up. Don't chase. Look at, dog money shills. Whenever Remy puts out a video about something, head the other direction. Whenever you hear somebody say, oh, but this time it's different, you go, I don't think so. Those kind of things. I think a solid background. And now we have sort of market timing tools that I think are a perfect complement. So, come to TRI and learn how to build your business. Figure out what type of risk taker you are. Figure out what type of market is interesting to you. And, as I said, like Joe Z and Zach in the Level 3 program, they just sit and spread trade options all day long. That's all they do because that's what appeals to them. It's awesome. There's others in the community that are like, Brian, I don't care about legacy markets. I trade crypto. So, like I said, I built out a nice crypto dashboard for you guys. So the interesting thing about all this is that the process of running your business and sort of managing yourself and managing your behaviors, right, and all this journaling and logging, none of that changes. This stays exactly static, and hopefully if you need a guide, right, you can always go through. We have a bunch of people on the site that actually have journals that you can basically just follow along what they're doing. Are they actually worth listening to? Well, I'll tell you. You can always tell, actually, just between me, you, and the fence post, and this is where most people in the investing universe fail. You can always tell the guys that you want to listen to, the guys you want to follow, because they talk about their losing trades. They talk about how they handled losses. They talked about the psychological difficulty of losing money at this game. Because trust me, you will never be right 100% of the time. Ever, 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 ever. So the question really is, how do you handle yourself, and how do you handle your emotional baggage and all that around when you're wrong? And then also, too, you have broader market forces. We all know that these markets move in cycles. So how do you handle yourself when you're in a bear market, right? And, the irony of it all is, and I said this in recent videos on the site, today's bear market actually sets up tomorrow's bull market. But you can't have tomorrow's bull market if the market is just always going up. It just doesn't work that way. At some point, the market has to come back down, wash out all the weak hands, then the smart hands come back in, and we start the whole darn cycle all over again. So I guess the point here, and I'm just talking in circles, is if you want to learn the process is the key to all of this. And I don't hear anybody on social media ever talk about the process because it's boring. But if you want to learn the process, this is the place to be. And the cool part about it is, I think our instructors have all bought into this idea of the process. They all now have many years of working with me experience. And frankly speaking, I think, like our level 1 instructor, Grim, I think he's actually a better trader than I am. And isn't that the way it's supposed to be? So I always say I've done my job when I know that you're a better trader than I am. I know I've done my job. So that's speaking to JoJo. Speaking of which, JoJo's birthday's coming up here shortly, so everybody have a thought and a prayer. If anything, make JoJo happy on her birthday. Have a nice thought, a nice PMA thought for Liam and I this afternoon. At the end of these videos, I always ask you guys for a karmic wish that I can give him an awesome afternoon. So, okay, so there's your big Black Friday shill. As I said, I'm very proud. In fact, maybe Chris, we could, in the description of this video, we'll put in both, and I'll just give you the links here. This is the link to the school Black Friday promotional page. I don't know. Before I do this, okay, I'll just give it to Chris. Josh, you're here in the call, aren't you? Have you got a microphone? Joshy, are you here? I know you're here. Where are you? There's the school. Do we want to be giving this out in this video here today? These links? Or do you want them coming on the page and following a certain path or something? Where are you, Josh? Josh is our marketing guy. I see he has a microphone. I don't know whether he's talking or not.
I don't think we can hear him. It looks like he's unmuted, but I don't believe we can hear him.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've put the 2 pages. Oops. Put the 2 pages. I've sent them to you there, Chris. If Josh gives us the go-ahead, we can put them in the description of the video here today. And so anybody who's watching over the next day or two, keep in mind that these deals, of course, expire.
Hello?
Hey, there he is.
Oh, it works. I had to plug my new microphone in.
There you go.
What was the question?
The question is, should I give out these links to these Black Friday deals in the chat room there on YouTube?
Do people want them?
I don't know. Does anybody want them? I mean, I'll just, I don't really ask when you market, you just put it out there, right?
Yeah, I would put it out there, but what do people in the YouTube say? Do you guys want the link, or do we keep it to oh, there you gone and shared it.
Too late.
Done it. I try to stop him.
Okay. But anyway, they're there for you if you want them. I didn't hear an outright no. So there are the links, and I also send them to you, Chris. If when I take off here, I'll just go straight to Liam. So when you can you maybe throw those links into the video description? Is that what
Absolutely.
We should do? What do you think,
Richard
Josh?
John
Does that
says,
work?
I desperately want the screeners. So there we go.
Okay, there you go. Merry Christmas. All right. Okay, and keep in mind that if you do decide to subscribe to this, just like I've built this custom dashboard, this crypto dashboard screener, you can build your own custom screener, right? And you can, I mean, I've done this, so now you get an idea of how detailed you can actually do the screens and the information. I mean, you could do this for, Canadian stocks, all you Australians. You could set up an Aussie screen. You could do tech stocks and all the different tech indexes and stuff. If you're a commodities trader, you could load this all up for specific commodities trading, currency trading, bond trading. I mean, the sky's the limit. I could create these dashboards all day long. Anyway, super excited for the future. Super excited for our future here. Okay, now, I think I'll put the shill away for now. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And by the way, if you do sign up for the school, it is a pretty nice little discount, too, that we're giving you here for the Black Friday deal. So I think the deal packages are on this page, so check them out. And if anything, this is perfect, because if you did decide to take advantage of this, then, I think the next school term starts in a month and a half. So you get like a month to just kick around the site and get to know the community, watch videos, so to see how we interact and operate. And then come January, you're ready to kick some butt. And I have to say, if there was ever a time to do the education program, do it now. Get it done. So that when the market bottoms, and you guys, I mean, the cool part about it is there's so many different ways for us to show you that the market's bottoming. I think, unfortunately with me, I just do so many darn squiggly lines. But, Ben, on our Wednesday show, it's so eloquent. And this is why I really like, different people's perspective, because sometimes you can, get muddled with the message. But this is just such a perfect study. This is everything that we've learned and taught at TRI about the various cycle. I mean, if you look at this image, it shocks you after you look at this image how actually utterly predictable this whole crypto space really is. And the worst part about this, and I specifically said this, and if you've never heard this before, for Pete's sake, write this down, because I remember I specifically said this. Just like how today's price action, today's bear, is actually setting up tomorrow's bull, what you have to learn as a risk taker in the marketplace is that every single one of these tops and every single stock market top, whenever the market goes parabolic like this, there is always scandals around these market tops. Why? Because you have a prolonged period of time where the price does nothing but go up. So what ends up happening is people actually start believing in their bullshit. I mean, like the magic internet money guy, right? And I'm sorry, how do you do this without improperly quoting him? Hawking, right? Technically, I'm not swearing if I say hawking, right? And, guys like Do Quad actually saying, I'm more powerful than the entire U.S. banking system. Yeah, right, sure. And now this Bankman-Friedman guy, and what's so fascinating about this Bankman-Fried guy is he actually stood up in front of Congress in 2018 and detailed how the main reason why the 2008 financial crisis happened was because of the over-collateralization of assets on these banks' balance sheets. And what does the guy do? He goes and over-collateralizes his FTX token, and a total Ponzi scheme between this Alameda Research, which is like literally... I mean, the conflict of interest alone is just staggering, and how nobody picked up on this is baffling. And actually, the interesting reality of it is actually there were a few people that did pick up on it, and there's one gentleman in particular, I've watched a few videos now, where he said he even went to Bloomberg and said, this is a total crock, and the whole thing's going to fall apart. Do you want to do a story on it? And exactly like 2008, identical, the credit rating agencies in the United States knew of the fraud that all the banksters were committing, but they didn't want to say anything. Why? Because they were going to lose business. All these banks were coming to the credit rating agencies and saying, give us a gold-plated 3 AAA rating on this paper, and we'll give you another $100 million in fees and bonuses and shit. And lo and behold, that's exactly the same thing that happened with this FTX. So, the irony of it all is every single one of these cycles is exactly the same. Every single one. It is always the same. Right? What did I tell you? If anybody ever says, oh no, this time it's different, man, turn and run the other bloody direction. But, I thought it was interesting, wasting time through the bear crypto winter, what to do while waiting for the next bull market. I actually just did some Let's Play Connect the Dots. And the funny thing is people are thinking that this guy over here on the left is unique. And yet, every single cycle, it's exactly the same. And the irony of it all is what this guy did here, and for some reason he thinks he's so smart, he did exactly the same thing as Roly-Poly Oly did on Mt. Gox. It was identical. Absolutely identical. The only difference was Roly-Poly did it with, to the tune of maybe 20, 30, maybe $50 million. And this guy did it to the tune of like 10, 20, 30 billion dollars. There's no difference. No difference whatsoever with what's happened here. And that's what's fascinating about this, is that and I would plead that somebody, because we get like 500, 1,000 people that watch this video, somebody please demonstrate this to the regulators. There is no specialty about this guy. This is the very typical way bull markets end. It is identical. No difference whatsoever. No difference. It's kind of sad, really. But anyway, so the point here is, and actually, just that image alone, I think is just so poignant, is these cycles, they always end the same way. And interestingly enough, this blue line you see up top here, this was this cycle, and I don't know whether I guess I don't have it. But anyway, the blue one, it's awfully tough for you to see this. Maybe I can zoom in a bit. There we go. So the blue one, woo, look at that. This was when I first came into the crypto space. This one here. And it was interesting. Through here, I told the people, well, the typical bear market lasts about 18 months. It's very normal. I think this is actually a little bit old, but it might still be updating. I'm not sure. I think we are very, very close to the sort of the bottom of the market here. If it doesn't happen within if this, this fall isn't the bottom, it's definitely in sort of like the first and second quarter of next year. But as I also pointed out to the community in our Friday Daily Brief video, I think it was Friday, or maybe it was last Wednesday. There's a lot of similarities between stocks like Amazon and Bitcoin. I don't know, maybe was it this one? Anyway, I did a comparison of Amazon and Bitcoin, and that was actually compliments of a gentleman on the site, a student on the site. He had pointed that out, and I was very, very impressed with that analysis. I think in this short term, we're in one of these sort of liquidity hunting windows, which is a little bit dangerous. We haven't, quote unquote, bottomed yet, right? I mean, technically we will bottom when this thing kind of looks like a big saucer, you know, as I sort of showed you off of that tweet there, right? These bottoms actually usually take about a good 6-8 months, and then you look back over time and you go, all right, I guess I can see the saucer bottom. In fact, this one actually, we bottomed at 61.8s, then came all the way back down to 88.6s, so you could argue that this bottom actually was this whole window here. So my hunch is at this bottom, and I think we're going to look a lot like this 12 to 16 cycle kind of idea. So, you know, we're coming into that bottoming window, and as Ben's graphic shows you, the cool part about this is actually if you use the halvening event as a reference point, 61.8 to 78.6 of the reference from one halvening to the next halvening to the next halvening is invariably a bottoming window for Bitcoin. And lo and behold, folks, we're in that window now. So you should all, if you really are a crypto enthusiast, now is actually the time when you want to be investing. I mean, that's the irony of it all. And of course, you look out into the public, and the public's absolutely destroyed because they got suckered into buying stuff up here. I'd also say, too, this is, I think, a good conversation in crypto. What is value? You know, I had even put out a tweet here along these lines, sort of, you know, similar kind of vein of conversation. Unless you actually know what the value of your asset is, or you are getting the asset where insiders are heavily long, be careful. Be damn careful. I mean, and you know, the FTX is a perfect example. People believed hook, line, and sinker in this guy, and it turns out the whole damn thing was a lie. What's scary is that he's trying to sell himself as, oh, it was just a mistake. Oh, it was no big deal. And, you know, I mean, the worst part about it is for some reason, and I don't quite understand why, but this guy has been deemed by our society as some sort of expert when it comes to investing, and he's a horrible investor. The only way this guy makes money is he steals like really, really good ideas from entrepreneurs, and he totally lowballs them on that like Shark Tank show, and it's terribly unethical. But he's notorious for just being a horrible investor, and he always invests through the rear view mirror. I remember 5-10 years ago, dividend stocks were all the rage, and all you heard out of him was, I'm a dividend investor. That's all I do is I just do dividend. And then they fell out of favor, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. Now this guy, of course, somebody asked him, well, would you invest in Sam Bankman-Friedman again? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And it's like, this guy, he's so backwards. And what's cool is if you don't listen to Beamish, listen to these guys. The hedge eye guys, these guys are smart ass motherfuckers. And this guy right here, he was one of the only guys on the street that was actually calling out the SBM guy as a fraud like months and months and months ago. So anyway, so The tragedy, actually, of all of this is that this guy actually is very cliche for market tops. Seeing the guys like this guy come in and shill the top of the market. Raw crypto. And then, as crypto's at the top, he's like, oh, I've been bullish since day one. My hunch is now he's going to flip over in 6 months from now. You're going to hear him say, oh, I was bearish and I was skeptical of the whole damn thing. That guy's horrible. Don't follow him. Just don't. It's not a good idea. Anyway. So in this kind of environment where we haven't quite bottomed yet, like I said, this bottoming process, it should look like a big saucer, and it's probably going to take, we have lots of studies on the site about, money cycles and the interest rate path. When should the Fed stop raising interest rates? They always say don't fight the Fed. Of course, Bitcoin as a mining issue, it's going to be highly, highly sensitive to the cost of borrowing money. And, any sort of tech play, if you have to invest a whole bunch of capital in all of this computer equipment, a lot of times companies literally borrow the money and then they can basically deduct the interest as a capital expense to do things like set up computer operations to mine Bitcoins. So you could make the argument that as long as the Fed is continuing to raise interest rates, that's going to make it harder and harder on sort of that whole sector to turn a profit. It doesn't surprise me. One by one, we're hearing stories about the public turning their machines off. And I'll just finish off this conversation. This is really simple. This is a guy who's been in this space for a long time. I've basically been in here since right over here. What is the number one thing that we want to start hearing that will tell us very specifically? I mean, if you want a cheat sheet of when to invest in Bitcoin, it's really simple. What is the one thing we want to hear about talking in the public that we know that we are basically at the bottom? We will hear one topic of conversation and one topic of conversation only. Very good. And you want to be nice and patient and disciplined. Well done, Zonks. Well done, Eddie. Well done, the Matador. Not necessarily. I mean, we're good. The trend will be dead coins through the whole damn thing, Gibby. And if anything, thank God we don't have fucking trucks around anymore doing that torture to us on a weekly basis. That was painful. I would imagine that Binance probably will get to that point as well, and maybe even KuCoin and those kind of places. But specifically with regard to Bitcoin, the number one topic of conversation that we know that we are at or near the bottom is we will start hearing talk and worry about 51% attacks. It's just that simple, folks. And then, of course, we have site members who have done fantastic jobs writing scripts on TradingView. So you can't even make the argument the information isn't there. The problem is, will you listen to this information? And a lot of people, when we're up at 50, 60 G's, they bought at 40, and they don't want to hear this conversation, and it frustrates me to no end. But there are actual tools that you can put on your screen to show you what the cost of production for Bitcoins is. So the public, you hear lots of talk right now. The public is turning their machines off. Now we're down into sort of institutional. This is the old sort of super institutional level. But this equipment's getting a little bit old. This is the S19. This is sort of the top of the line last cycle. And then I've heard some people talk about now the latest version. And it's always funny how it goes this way, eh? But now we have the latest version is S19 XP with the Kung Fu grip, right? And all that kind of talk. Anyway. There's their cost of production. Now, I would just make the argument, and I've seen this repeatedly in my career, that this 78.6 will probably, when we look back in hindsight, we will say, God damn, that damn bottom happened to get off 78.6. Right, that number right there. So, I think we're pretty close. I don't think we're exactly there. I haven't, one thing that we absolutely heard rampantly through here was the rage quits. Is, of course, people that bought at 50, 60,000 are destroyed, right? And they eventually quit and they sell sub 10,000 and they say they're never going to buy this again. It was all a skip. Call my lawyer. But we haven't heard the rage quits just yet. I got a feeling that's probably in our future over the next couple months, along the lines of 51% attack talk and all that. I also told people, and I think this makes a lot of sense, that I actually think, and believe it or not, if you're actually here to make money from trading, it's not really that big of a deal. If you are here because you are a crypto enthusiast and you believe in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin story, I also think that this doesn't make that much of a deal. But I definitely think that this winter, as part of a side function of this bottoming process, this is the winter that crypto will be regulated. And of course, the media being owned and operated by the institutional players, and the institutional players want to buy down markets and they want to buy in size, so they are going to need all of you in the public to be selling in size. They are going to spin this, and they're going to make the media people spin this as absolutely as ugly as possible. And my hunch is people like this guy, well, and it'd be interesting to see. I mean, hopefully what ends up happening is the way that, remember how Vitalik, when he called out Craig Wright, that was beautiful. But do you remember, Craig Wright was on a stage and Vitalik stood up. He was one of the people in the audience, and he's like, "Why are you on the stage? You're a loser." I thought that was hilarious. This guy's actually got the audacity that he's going to come out to these crypto conferences and do his continuous shill. And, his spiel right now is, it was just a simple little accounting error on my part. Oh, my bad. I mean, come on. And, you've heard the expression, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. What happens, I hope, is he comes out to these conferences and he literally gets booed off the stage. Because about 2 or 3 months ago, I listened to a podcast or whatever, and I really should get on to the questions. I should stop talking. So anyway, point of the matter here is over the next 6 months, we should see a bottom come into this space. And just understand that the institutions want to buy in size at value, right, at the cost of production. How are they going to buy 1 million Bitcoins? Right? If they place a market order to buy 1 million Bitcoins, you know what's going to happen to the price, right? So they got to get all of you to sell, right? Sell. And I would actually argue that what you have to do is keep a level head. If you believed in the Bitcoin story through here, this was an incredible buying opportunity. If you believed in the Bitcoin story back here, that was an incredible buying opportunity. Well, here we are again. So, the issue here, of course, is this is all about emotions. This is all about, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, so how do you take an appropriate risk? How do you set yourself up to take that risk? That, of course, is all about approaching this trading thing as a business, right? Have a plan. Execute your plan. You're only as good as you are at following your plan. All right, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what am I supposed to be doing here today? I'm supposed to be actually answering level 1ers questions as sort of a dovetail to Grim's work, and I think Grim does fantastic work on this site. But there usually are sort of follow-up questions that, Brian, can you just expound on this? I don't know whether we have gotten through. Did we get through all of these questions? Tour of the dashboard. Actually, I just did that a little bit for you guys there. Okay. Oh, yeah, we did all that. Yeah, that was a fairly long conversation, I seem to remember. All right. So, 13th. Did we do this? Does this sound familiar? Can you please explain performance bonds? Oh, yeah, I remember that. We talked a little bit about that. All right. 20th. God, where are we? 27th. Is this us now? All right. All right. So we got 4 questions. Got about an hour or so. So let's see how we do on all this. And hopefully I can help somebody here. And by all means, if you have a question over there on YouTube, There's a good 60, 70 of you over there. Feel free to ask. If you are on the site, maybe add your question onto the Q&A doc. Okay, so question number 1. Is Nasdaq still a good greed proxy for the next growth cycle? It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. The question here is, can you buy when others are selling? Can you sell when others are buying? I might argue that, crypto is a growth story going forward. And what letter of the alphabet do we want to see on the weekly charts to help us see that the bottom is in? The problem here, of course, is we just went through one of these crazy-ass cycle peaks. So we've got to take some time to clean all of this up. But I think actually, remember, like Amazon is part of that growth story. This is the Bitcoin chart, but, we can, and there, I suppose it is, bang, 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 bang. We can go just sort of side-by-side comparison, QQQ. Does that look familiar? Looks kind of similar, eh? So I might argue, and actually you could even make the argument, as soon as the Nasdaq, what are we supposed to think if we ever see the market smiling at us? So that was a huge clue that the poop was about to hit the fan. And as I said there earlier, like every single bull cycle, there are always ridiculous blow-off tops. It's just the way bull cycles end. And the worst part about this, of course, is that right here, the people that were in power and in charge in our society kind of artificially jacked us all up here. Which is it's a bit depressing, to be honest with you, the way they really fucked everything up. But anyway, point of the matter here is I think that these two are highly, highly correlated. And as soon as you start seeing, I don't really like the look of this. If anything, this looks a little bothersome. As I had sort of said earlier, and back in the .com, boom days, right, there is the .com peak. You could make the argument that this was the greed cycle peak, and of course there is the .com sort of blow off top. And I think you could make the argument that Bitcoin going through its cycle peak, its correction should look a hell of a lot like this. It should be almost identical. In fact, probably better to go Nasdaq 100. And then you actually see the index itself, which is what the QQQs are. But they came out in the 90s. So there you go. So you can see there's a lot of similarities. And what's interesting is, of course, a lot of people use this Nasdaq chart as sort of the reference for what do blow-off tops look like. You see the market psychology kind of report. So, yeah, it's something like that. I'm a terrible speller. But I think if you just do, yeah, there we go. So this image, ironically enough, actually is that Nasdaq image. This is an example of one of these cycle tops. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. It's interesting how somebody just said, well, this is what cycle tops. Well, I mean, all they did was they just took this Nasdaq 100 chart. Should the Bitcoin correction look similar to this? I think so. And then as I kind of showed you, which was super cool, is if you look at an individual stock like Amazon, which is a pretty big component, obviously, in the Nasdaq, and you look at it through its .com peak, what did it look like? Right, so that's that image. So you can see there is the peak in Amazon. There is the Nasdaq 2000 peak. That is basically the same price pattern. And here's Bitcoin now. And keep in mind that This cycle, ironically enough, was a fear cycle. So theoretically, hard assets should have done better than pure growth proxies. Now, the interesting thing, of course, Amazon now has earnings, so it did its craziness. And I mean, ironically enough, you look at the way that Bitcoin looks now, I think it's this more sort of, V-top straight down. I think that looks a hell of a lot more similar. If you look at the Nasdaq right now, and Amazon, actually that looks very structurally toppy versus the V-top kind of action. So, ironically enough, the Nasdaq itself will not be a bull until we actually W out on the other side of that trend line. Now, that may take a long time to happen, folks. What you might find, which is kind of sad, there is the screw up by the Fed right there. They kind of, and I might argue that the bankster state and all that crap. I think this was done on purpose. Although try and explain it to the public, and it's impossible. What I would just simply say is, if you are watching this video and you're kind of like, what are you talking about, Brian? How could it be on purpose? Just go watch this video. And the interesting thing is this video was originally done back in the 1980s. And the gentleman was actually a fairly young guy back then. And you actually see him now, and now he's basically an old man. Just so sad. Basically he spent his whole life trying to convince the world of the pure hypocrisy of the way this world works. It's really tragic. It takes way too long to explain this. All I ask is, please, just do yourself a favor and just go watch this video. It's 3.5 hours long. I mean, it is like literally the history of money from day one. And he did another video, the Yellow Brick Road, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we have these videos on our channel. So you can go to our channel, there's the money. Is that it? Yeah, the Money Master. So there it is there. I should probably also have the Wizard of Oz, the Yellow Brick Road video in there as well. But very simply put, the whole system, of course, is designed, and it's been that way since 1913. That's basically when the banksters took over our society. So literally, they've been in charge now for a good 100 years, and the whole hyperinflation that you're seeing of late is purely a function of the banksters needing to inflate the economy to keep the runaway deficit spending stupidity of our society going. I mean, we don't have to live in deficits. The only reason why we do is because this works very, very well to keep the banksters' business model going. And now, when you live in debt, you have these endless deficits. Basically, we are now slaves to the banking system. Welcome to the, this is kind of like Morpheus, and it's kind of funny because technically I am an ENFJ. I think that's how you spell it. Anyway. So it's kind of funny how it's my privilege. He's an ENFJ. He calls himself a protagonist in the movie. Actually, no. Not in the movie. He tries to help, right? He tries to help people and help Neo, like, sort of figure out who he is and where he's got to go in life and all that. And actually, that's how I kind of see myself. Is my job is to try and help you see the reality. And what, Morpheus has got that famous line that basically we're just slaves to the bankster money system. And that's what this gentleman's trying to outline. And yet, literally, he spent his entire life, his entire career, trying to tell the public this, trying to convince them. And yet nobody in the public wants to hear it. Not a single person in the public wants to hear this message. It's kind of sad, really. He was shilling a cryptocurrency? Ah, boo. There you go. Or was he? Or maybe that's a shame if he was. But oh well, what can you do? Watch the video, learn the message. You don't necessarily need to buy his shill. Just hear the message. All right, let's keep moving forward here. So I don't really mind that the Nasdaq is a greed proxy. The only problem is we're in a bear market, and it's going to take a while to clean this up. My hunch is, who can help out? Who asked this question? It's a level 2 concept, so if you're in level 1, you don't know this yet. But what's the statistical probability that we have to trade back down to that level there? Thank you, Eddie. Statistical probability that we trade back down to that level is about 91%. That's a pretty damn big number. So, if anything, you're kind of asking, Brian, what's our future in the Nasdaq? My hunch is it probably looks something along those lines for the next few years. It's interesting, the bottom here following the dot-com boom, look how long it took to play out. And the irony of it all is that, just off of the floor, and this, of course, was the George Bush Jr. era, notice into the peak of 2008, the market was actually up 164% off of its lows. But I think it's probably a better analogy, although it's not Nasdaq because you can't see it, right? The data here only starts from mid-90s. I wonder if there's like Nasdaq, just the Nasdaq stock market, Nasdaq composite. Hey, there we go. So I actually think this is probably a better measure for you to follow. Is notice there is the dump in 1980. So I like this better. Notice we talk about gaps needing to be filled in. I guess there's a bit of a price gap there, but notice how the market came down here. This is 1980. I actually think that this is probably a better proxy as to what the Nasdaq's going to do. Because I would make the argument that this cycle floor, they say the market bottomed in 82. So you can see that reversal there. So the next greed cycle looked like that. So you tell me, hell, you can't even see the damn bottom here. So you can see what ends up happening is a lot of people that get sort of wrapped up in the minutia of the market here, they can't see the forest through the trees. Look what's coming. So I don't know whether it's going to be this big because this was the baby boomers build out. But you can see, from the bottom of whatever this cycle is, and I think it's that gap, that Fed fuck up, you can see that's 2,300% up into the peak of the cycle. So this is what I would expect the next 15, 20 years of the Nasdaq to look like. And I might make the argument that, well, actually somewhere, I would just simply say you are here now. So I can't tell you exactly where we are, but my hunch is we're probably like somewhere like right there right now. So yes, we are working our way back down, but try not to lose the sort of forest through the trees kind of image of what this growth cycle is going to look like. So if anything, I would put that in your pipe and smoke it. I tell you, man. And that's the irony of it all, right? Is people can't understand that, also too, remember the Fed is massively inflating the economy. So this is like, one thing that used to drive me crazy when I was younger trying to understand the markets is, let's see if I can show you. I used to sit there and go, now why did the U.S. stock market go absolutely crazy after the end of the Second World War? I mean, how do you explain this? Here they are fighting their way through the Second World War. There's the Great Depression. The only thing after fear is fear itself, right? Total mess, right? There's 1947. So, here's the end of the Second World War through here. And then notice, look what happened here. Now, why? What is it about our economy that was so great that all of a sudden everything just zooms up? There's the end of the Second World War, 600% higher here on these Dow Jones Industrial Index stocks. And this is what is that year? There it is, 40s in the middle of the war. And here we are, this is Kennedy, right? And Kennedy was actually whacked right in here. So, LBJ and all that. Like, why did this happen? Was society so much better? No. Why this happened, and if you look at it on a growth scale, you'll understand the significant. That is a log scale on a regular linear chart. There is that move. Like, why did that happen? And I would actually argue that the main reason why this happened was because of the massive inflation of the money supply. And that basically gave permission for banksters to loan out tons and tons and tons of money, which inflated stock prices. A lot of that money goes straight into the stock market. They blame it on, they go, well, the GI Bill came out, and everybody went and got educated. Well, that doesn't explain that. Were people stupid in here? And this is all just simply about the expansion of the credit, and the expansion of the money supply. Bretton Woods came into effect here and all that. And through all this, they justified it by saying, well, we're fighting the Cold War, blah, blah, blah. What a load of horse shit. So what you need to understand, of course, like we said, is the banksters took over the system here, and they just have us on this growth path. So as a result, this is their business model. And you might argue that, we're basically just bumping our way along here. I don't think that this generation is a baby boomer type generation, because the credit is the money is wrong. In 1980, they could justify starting to crank out, spending, because there wasn't deficit spending. But now we're in deficit spending. So I think we're probably more like the greatest generation, they call them, the George Bush Senior's type generation. I think that's what this looks like. By the way, George Bush Senior was on the ground in Dallas, Texas the day when Kennedy was shot. What a surprise. So keep in mind also, too, I believe that Bitcoin is actually a CIA pet project. So it's all connected, folks. So I think that we're sort of marching along this kind of path here going forward. And you can see what the stock market is doing. So the point here is that 22, 23, and sort of waiting for the crypto market to bottom, waiting for the next halving event. We are actually in that buying window, which is kind of ironic because, basically you have to force yourself to buy when others are crying. And then once we get on that other side of the halving event, oh boy, here we go again. So you can see it's all sort of painting that 22, 23 sucks. Once we get through 23, rock and roll, we should be, good times, at least for a little while. But if you can think 15 years down the road, I think that we got something like this. And when we go, what you guys need to learn here is the way that crypto acted into the end of that cycle and that FTX nonsense. And really, you might even argue the Luna nonsense and the magic internet money nonsense, that was a pure function of the end of the cycle. There's just tons and tons and tons of money just sloshing around the system, trying to find yield. And, a lot of it found its way into crypto. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but because it was an unregulated market, I think, like all this Sam Bankman-Friedman business model shit, if you ever seen those flow charts, I mean, the guy who is actually doing the Enron bankruptcy said that Enron looked like a walk in the park compared to this crap what this guy's done. And I think he did it insanely complicated exactly to try and, blow smoke over the public. It was all a fraud. So anyway, it is what it is. So it's ironic that Joey Diamond calls Bitcoin a fraud when really the fraud is all these derivatives that came out. Bitcoin still, ironically enough, is relatively pristine. Although I am hearing there are some kinks to the Bitcoin story. So don't be surprised if over the next 6 months we hear some pretty nasty FUD to get you guys to all panic sell your coins at the bottom of the cycle. Okay, with the current macro geopolitical landscape, is there a strong probability that in the next growth greed cycle, the pendulum will remain in favor of the U.S. rather than the rest of the world? Well, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And it's already happening now. I have demonstrated clearly, number one, that the U.S. dollar is doing exactly the same thing that it did in the early 80s with Volcker. Number two, the best way to see this is on the dashboard. If you come over to the breadth, you notice that the S&P is actually hanging in here. But notice, look at Europe. Europe looks like a train wreck. Canada even looks like a train wreck. Australia looks like a train wreck. And I think this is going to be the theme for quite a while going forward. USA is going to outperform. The rest of the world equity markets are going to literally fall apart, one domino after another. And it'll just move from one sovereign debt issue to another sovereign debt issue to another sovereign debt issue, one by one by one by one. All right. Fwediverse, my little contribution to you. There's surely many discreet people like me who find it always interesting and instructive to listen to you in the BCS or in the DB. A lot of value. Thanks. Awesome. Cool. I do talk way too much, but what the hell? Hope you're enjoying it. Regardless of your financial skills, I think we need people with your karma more than people who say, why aren't you a millionaire? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. I mean, I can't complain. I'm very comfortable, okay? I have nothing to complain about. And also, too, keep in mind, hell, we probably invested $1 million into building out this crazy-ass platform. So, interestingly enough, if I just keep my nose clean, and now that we've got the platform actually built, if I just keep my nose clean, this is, in essence, exactly the same. Right now, this is exactly the same as Mr. Bezos in early 2000 here. It's literally TRI is exactly the same as Bezos right through here. Bezos, he wasn't going to go under because we don't have a debt. In fact, we have no debt at TRI. And we never will. I'd never want to go into debt. We have, I think, a product and a service that has value to it. And, when Mr. Bezos was getting Amazon off the ground, it was a basic product, basic service that I think had demand. And he just, through this period, I remember he was still working out of 5,000 square foot office in New York City. And he had a very small desk. I still remember seeing the interview he did with CBS through the dot-com crunch. And sort of, how did you survive, Mr. Bezos? And really what Mr. Bezos did was he just got to work. And just day after day after day just kept coming to work. And just over time, as long as he was continued to be revenue positive, Just keep adding value, keep adding services, keep adding services, keep adding value, keep adding services. Let your equity compound. Just keep adding value, and, boom, the richest guy in the world. So I would argue that, and ironically enough, I might also argue the better port of crypto is also right here. You are here now. So the question is, can you see out into the top of the next, cycle? If you can, you're just patient, you're disciplined, you'll do fine. The problem here, right through here, is that there'll be lots and lots of people in our society that are going to tell you that it's the end of the world. And the worst part about it, of course, is that there are a lot of people that will believe it, hook, line, and sinker. And unfortunately, they're just as big as suckers as the people who got sucked into buying the dot-com peak up here. And the worst part about it, it was university professors who were the ones who were goading people into believing that the growth would never end. The gentleman's name specifically was Alan Blinder. And the guy ends up going on to being like chief economic advisor to the White House. Oh, I'm Princeton economics professor. He was the guy who was laughing at John Roth for selling his Nortel stock at the top of the market. And who's laughing after the crash? Mr. Roth, of course, is. Mr. Blinder, maybe our economic models need fine-tuning. Not allowed to swear. So, we monetize this, right? Hit the like button, subscribe. I think actually Chris has even set up the what do they call them? The super chat things. So the other day, one of our longtime members gave us a ridiculous super chat contribution. I was like, my goodness, what are you doing, silly boy? So anyway. Okay, back to our questions. Hope you guys are enjoying and getting a little bit of entertainment out of this. Okay, stronger than next week. Pendulum will remain in favor. I think it's basically in the U.S.'s favor now for the next 15 years. Totally awesome that you love my rants. Love you too. Okay. I saw your Friday, Dan. I sincerely hope you plan to live with Liam. Yeah. I mean, you all know my affirmations. And yeah, everybody on YouTube, in fact, actually somebody even said, well, Brian, why don't we make this really easy? Let's set up a Patreon page just for Liam. Right? And if you guys want to help Liam, right, there's my boy. He's, I don't know whether you can see him. There he is. Of course, that was a picture taken just before Mom did her thing. But he's 22 years old now. And my affirmations. Number one, I know Liam and I will be living together. I am 100% confident of it. Number two, I'm privileged, and it's so awesome that, it looks like I'm getting through to you. I'm so privileged. Hey, look at that. Josh, feel a little poor, are you today, Josh? Thank you, Josh. Hey, sweetheart. You're awesome. Hey, every penny counts. What I find interesting is why are these things being done in pounds? That's kind of odd. I don't know, Eddie, if you saw, but your contribution, I think, was in pounds the other day, which really surprised me. Anyway. But my number two affirmation is I am so lucky, and I have no idea why God and JoJo have given me this. I told all of you, after JoJo passed, she came to me in a dream, and she said, Brian, you have the opportunity to make a real positive difference in this world. Now, this is like 10 years ago she came to me, and I still remember the line I tell all of you. I've told it the very first students that I taught. It's the exact same line. But she also said, but Brian, and the reason why I know it's true, is she said, Brian, you have to learn how to listen. I sure know how to talk, don't I? Oh, boy. But I am really trying to learn how to listen. Anyway, so I'm super, super fortunate that I've been given this PMA for the Win role to be able to come and talk to all of you on a regular basis. And hopefully I'm giving you guys value and it's reciprocal. What you put out in the universe, you get back. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I can't do it anymore. Oh, thank you, Paul. You're a sweetheart. You give us Rons. What are Rons? I'm almost afraid. What is a Ron? Paul gave us 5 Rons. Josh gave us 0.79 British pounds. Thank you, Paul. You're awesome. So I'm so fortunate. So fortunate. Oh, the Romanian. Actually, that's kind of cool. Because I do want to, if we are, and then the third affirmation is I believe, and I'm super excited and super appreciative, and I'm super enthusiastic now that we're going to get this Portugal campus. It may be in Portugal, it may be in southern Spain, maybe in Italy, I don't know. We do have one particular property in Portugal that's very interesting to me right now on the radar, so there's very high probability Portugal. But to get this campus idea up and running and to be able to start actually like making this TRI experience that's sort of 100% just online, actually giving it some physical manifestation so that you can come punch me in the nose if you want to, right? Wouldn't that be handy? You can actually punch me in the nose in person. But hopefully you don't feel like punching me in the nose. Anyway. So those are my 3 affirmations, and I will just keep doing this and just keep banging away. And maybe you guys on the interneting, as one gentleman said, why don't we just set up a Patreon for Liam, and as soon as we hit sort of the monthly funding requirement annuity level on that Patreon through your guys' support, then we can relocate Liam to anywhere in the world and know that he has his one-on-one support funded. So let me know in the comments and the comments field down below when you're watching through the week. Would you be interested in participating in something like that to help Liam? If that's the case, then man, we can get him. Because he does have a fairly large annual medical bill, the standard of living here in Vancouver is just horrible, and his cost of living is going through the roof. So it's not like there's any great incentive to stay here in Vancouver, other than he is a Canadian citizen. So as a result, he does get this service funded through the public system. Anyway, so those are my 3 affirmations, and those are the 3 things that are really driving me in my life right now. So, all right. So thank you so much for the positive feedback, man. That makes me feel good, and appreciate that. All right, Safe Veteran. Hi, Brian. If I was to decide to relocate to another country because the one I'm residing in has high real estate prices, what market info tool could I use to assess it? Or is the country's interest rate enough edge? Edge? I'm not quite sure. I hear you discuss Canada, China, Portugal's property market would be more insightful on the real estate market globally, perhaps in the daily briefs. Yeah. The one thing I do like about Portugal is that they were deemed one of the pigs nations. Thank you, Joshua. You're a sweetheart. Hugs and kisses. So the pigs nations, they were Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, and Ireland to a lesser extent. And they have horrible budget deficits, terrible socialist systems, and runaway spending. And about 10 years ago, being in this Eurozone, they didn't have the opportunity to go and massively print currency to bail themselves out. That's historically what these countries would do.
hyperinflate their currencies and basically devalue their currency into the ground and start from scratch all over again. But since they were in the euro, they couldn't do that. So as a result, they've kind of lived in this sort of semi-poverty state where there's no work and there's no jobs in these countries. And there's the countries themselves don't want to change their social safety net systems. And you can literally see the populations are just aging. They're just sitting there. They're like old fruit on a vine, just withering away. And I have to say, when I was in Portugal there last year, when we went out into the countryside, it's all just old people. I mean, they are as old as dirt. And nobody's doing anything. And what's so funny is, of course, the Germans and all the Northern Europeans came in and built up a whole bunch of infrastructure when Portugal was sort of first introduced to the euro. So there's a whole bunch of infrastructure, like the highway system, the electrical system, everything within the country is all built out, but nobody's using it. And, because the economies are so weak, because, the Northern European countries are like, look, we're not bailing you out anymore. You got to get your own act together. And then locally, they're just like, okay, well, we're just not going to do anything. Everything's just sort of stagnating. And as a result, real estate prices and, things like food prices and the hyperinflation that you're seeing all over sort of Northern Europe and, Americas and North America and Asia to a certain degree, it's just not happening there because nobody's doing anything. Nobody's spending any money. So that's one of the major sort of attractives to me. Remember, Brian's a cheap ass. The problem in Canada, and I would do the campus here in Canada, is literally for the same amount of money, I can't even buy like a one-bedroom condo in Vancouver. I mean, it's pathetic how they've hyperinflated the prices. What I would simply say is a good metric of the hyperinflation is what's the housing affordability index? What are the local wages versus what the housing prices are? And sadly in Canada, the affordability index has just absolutely collapsed. And I put out like sort of tweets and stuff about this. And of course, it's impossible to convey this to the public. They just don't understand any of this. But the only reason why the Vancouver and sort of Canadian real estate market has done what it's done is that it's a runaway, basically a runaway freight train. And the only problem is the only way to stop the runaway freight train is the train has to come off the rails. And of course, usually when you see that, it's, oh boy, horrible. So, what I see happening, and usually what they say is real estate prices correct about 50% in corrections. So what I see is going to happen here is they've bid Canadian real estate prices up to absolutely horrific levels. They are totally unaffordable for local Canadians. So it's just really a question of when does this sort of real estate developer hot money burn off? Because once the real estate developer hot money is gone, and, with these higher interest rates, it's not like they're going to go out and borrow a whole bunch more money. And it's going to be tough for them to justify new projects. So once that sort of hot money is burnt off, then we'll go back to sort of normal market conditions. The only problem with that, of course, is that usually that means that real estate prices have to, quote unquote, crash. So, when does that happen? For whatever it's worth, the 1980 market, and I think, we're in that same part of the cycle. So this is the U.S. market. So the U.S. market, there is 1979, 1980. So you can see what the U.S. market did. There's the roaring 80s, and of course there is the 87 crash. I would make the argument that the Canadian market just got absolutely destroyed in 87 crash because actually what happened here, more importantly, was the commodity markets just totally cratered. And oil prices broke in earnest in 1986, and they never looked back. And, it wasn't until 15, 20 years later that oil prices started to rise again. So that's what I would expect going forward, and it will be that break. I don't know where the best way to show you this is. Yeah, you know what? I'll do this in a daily brief because we just don't have that much time. I got to get going here. But the long and short of it here is I would expect the Canadian real estate market to slowly sort of come back to value. But because the banksters completely own the market, I think that they'll just keep hyperinflating real estate prices here. They'll just keep diluting the standard of living of the typical Canadian. I don't see this situation getting any better here. I would imagine that the real estate market will go sideways. I think it's down about 20-25% off its peak now already. So, over the next few years, could it fall another 5-10%, which would take us into that sort of 30-40% window. And then everything just goes sideways for like 10-15 years. And, the banksters win. I'm not going to be basically, I actually hear people are taking out mortgages and they will be locked into like 20-year mortgages, and all they are doing is paying interest. They are not even paying any of the actual mortgage loan back. So that means at the end of that 20 years, they're no different than they were today. They just spent 20 years basically working for the man, which I find absolutely horrible. It's such a trap. This is like a whole generation of slaves are being locked into their slavery. And the idea is that the assets will just continually go up and up and up and up and up in value. And I got to say, they've already hyperinflated the assets. I think I've shown you, like on my silly Twitter feed, right? I don't know. I'm sure I have it, but anyway. I don't know whether I have it in here handy or not. It's so hard to find these darn things quickly. But it's not like you can really inflate these things anymore. Damn it, I don't. I don't know what this is. Maybe if I just put Vancouver. That was last year. And sadly, this is it. This is the hallmark of capitalism. What will end up happening is mysteriously, real estate developers, there will accidentally be a fire at their location. And they have to collect in on the insurance policy. You'll see this a lot, folks. I guarantee it. Like this. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's not like you can have these prices go up anymore. I mean, this is nuts. And the only reason why, of course, this house was the way it was because they just wanted the lot. But, you can't expect this to go to 5 million now? 10 million? And it's just ridiculous. And it's just going, at some point, the bubble pops and then it's all over. So, there was a really good one that I had in here that was just even recently. It was like $2.5 million for a piece of crap house. That wasn't like this one. That one I just showed you happened to be in a fairly good neighborhood, so it's understandable why the property itself was so valuable. But now it's gotten to the point where you have like $2 million for a piece of crap house in the middle of suburbia. And those kind of house prices, they're toast. So. All right, so we'll talk about that going forward. I'll think about that, especially when I'm out with Liam, where we can get some other information for you on that. And then hopefully that helps explain why I'm interested in countries like Portugal right now. I do hear somebody say take a real good look at Central and South America. Unfortunately, they did very, very badly. Through the 1980s, their standard of living went down very, very hard. And I don't see any reason why any of that should change. And one thing I do like about Portugal is, man, it sure is quiet there. Central and South America can be extremely dangerous for your health. I don't want no Colombian neckties in my life. Thank you very much. So I appreciate that you guys do like Central and South America, but, oh man, it is a violent, violent society down there. Okay, moving on. Number 3 from John. I'd like to get your opinion about the video Mark Moss put out a couple of days ago called Why Crypto Won't See Another Bull Market. It's changed. He says most cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin will face harsh regulations in the coming months due to the FTX collapse and will be subsequently delisted from all exchange based in the US. Makes the case that only Bitcoin will rally significantly again in the future and a bull market in altcoins will never happen again. What are we supposed to say about the word never? The old rule is never say never. Just don't do it. Do you think this argument has any merit, or is it just more FUD? I would say that there is a certain degree of truism to this. Unfortunately, you guys are thinking that 2022 is quote-unquote the bottom, when I don't think it is. Benner cycle 22-23 is the bottom. Could you see that crypto becomes regulated through the year 2023? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be insanely harsh regulation because the Republicans are in control of the U.S. House of Representatives right now. So this is, I think, going to be one of these things where to get regulation done, Biden's going to do one of these sort of political deal kind of things. You scratch my back on this deal, I'll scratch your back on that deal, and he becomes the great compromise president. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear shit like that. Could crypto be thrown under the bus as a sacrificial lamb through 2023? Absolutely. Could you see a huge chunk of these cryptocurrency ideas, the tokens that are issued that have no intrinsic value whatsoever, could you see them all basically go down to at or below what they were before this cycle? Absolutely. Could you see the whole DeFi story completely unwind? Absolutely. There's a ton of things that I think could still really fall apart here in this space. And we're still in the correction cycle. You see where we are. This cycle should go on for another good year or so of shit. And what I would say is our rule is about 6 months prior to the halvening. That's when we should start thinking about this. There's the halvening. There is the Benkoff check sort of window. And you can see this is about 6 to 8 months or so before the halvening. You got to have your shit together. Everybody who's watching this, you got to have your shit together by about 6 months prior to that halvening. Once that event happens, then all of the crap that's part of this cycle, do you think Tom Brady, people are going to still be talking about him 6-8 months prior to the halvening cycle? No, that'll be old news. That'll be like, oh yeah, remember when football players thought they were money managers? What a stupid fool. And all that, and it'll be funny memes and stuff. And then people will, what you're going to hear through here is you're going to hear the Bitcoin maxis constantly going on day after day, week after week. Look how smart we are. We are the smart money. We're so smart, blah, blah, blah. And then the interesting thing is, and I said this and I wanted to say this earlier. I hope you realize and write this down if you've never heard this before, because it's so important. It always happens. The scandals that we are talking about today here at the bottom of the market, they were started at the top of the market. So while we were going up here and climbing the wall of worry, the scandals that were going to undermine this bull were being made here. And somebody go and figure out, when was the day Alameda Research, what a joke of a fucking con job, when did it start? And my hunch is it started through here. And, when did Do Kwon start his insanity? And the irony of it all is when those projects were just starting out, those guys were humble. Those guys were hungry. Those guys were poor. It was the market that made them insanely rich by the stories getting bid up. And of course, by them getting rich, they start to believe in their own bullshit. But what they don't realize is that's just part of the cycle. What they should have done is when Do Kwon was saying stupid things like, I don't care about the U.S. Treasury and I don't care about regulators. Fuck you all. What he should have been doing is going, and Charlie Lee did do this. Charlie Lee's a badass motherfucker. At the top of the market here in 2018, like literally in December of 2017, Litecoin was pumping, and then one day he came out and he just goes, that's it, I'm getting out, I sold everything. I mean, what a fucking boss. And that's what Sam Bankman-Friedman should have been doing here. And that's what Do Kwon should have been doing here. And that's what Danny Magic Internet Money guy should have been doing here. But none of them are Charlie Lee fucking quality. They're all upstarts in comparison to Charles. And it's fascinating to see, we go look at our dashboard and who's leading the charge here. Oh, here comes fucking Charlie Lee again. It's almost hilarious that he's starting to get going. I mean, look at that chart. Goddamn motherfucker, look at that. Oh, Jesus, I just swore. Damn. Why did I have to go and swear? Just ruined such a perfect shill. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, I see you guys are really, thank you very much for all the contributions, guys. I really appreciate that. Crypto Flash, BM. Oh, BM's giving us Seeks. What the hell's a Seek? Barry. Hey, Barry. Right on. Ron. Hey, Ron. Ron upgraded his bid. He was 5, now he's 50. Damn, Ron. Paul, wait. Oh, that's not Ron. That's Paul giving us Rons. Anyway. But look at that chart. I mean, interesting how Do Kwons are gone. Magic Internet Money guys are gone. SBMs are gone. And here comes Charlie out of the woodwork. Isn't that funny? And also, too, I'm hearing that Doge is starting to take off, too. I tell you, Doge actually, look at our sheet. Where's Doge? There's Doge. He's number 4 on the hit list. He's giving us a 6. Look at that 50% levels, 14 cents. So still got a ways to go here. Anyway. All right. Let's move on with our questions here. I sure hope I'm helping. So never say never. Never's a terrible thing to say. You're right in the middle of crypto winter. If anything, what's the one thing that we should start hearing, John, in the public rhetoric? Bitcoin is going to what? That's along these lines. It's exactly the same thing. Thank you, Josh. It's identical, and that, ironically enough, just the simple fact that this conversation is now starting to happen is actually par for the course. This is exactly what you would expect. Where was this guy at $50,000, $60,000 Bitcoin? Why was he not warning people then? Why is he coming in at the bottom of the market and saying shit like this? So I think FUD. What I would say is you're here at TRI to learn how to be a rational investor. So what does that mean? That means that if you are interested in investing in a cryptocurrency story, you should try and figure out what the hell is intrinsic value of this cryptocurrency thing that you're investing in. Can you get in at or near or even below where big fat schmank public, fat cats and all that are long the story? So that's what you want to be, is you want to be long from where they're long. And coincidentally, I mean, it's kind of like Charlie. I mean, how many people in the public are interested in buying Litecoin down here? Well, now that we got all these damn W's forming, hopefully, I could guarantee a lot of technicians are going to start paying attention. But I might argue, looks like Charlie's actually kind of cheap right now. Yeah, in a weird sort of way in this world, you have to think like a contrarian. But just try and be a rational contrarian. What is value? So, John, what I want to hear from you is, I'm thinking about investing in this cryptocurrency story. These are the fundamental reasons why this thing has value. And as soon as you can have that kind of conversation, then we can go to the price chart and we can start hunting weekly W's, momentum divergences, probably at the bottom ends of trading ranges, and go and make a pile of money. And it's just capitalism 101. So I'd actually disagree with this person. There's nothing new going on in either the crypto space or really what I would say in the venture capital space. The problem here is that we're at the very end of a very long cycle, and the market has to calm down. It has to wash out all of this stupidity, and we have to get back to value, right? Remember our value proposition? The good part about something like Bitcoin, proof of work, and now hopefully the world actually starts to understand why POW is so important. Proof of work ideas, you can actually come up with what the hell is value for these things. So no, I would completely disagree with that person. And if anything, with the rhetoric that they're spitting out right now, this is par for the course at this particular part of the cycle. It's totally normal. All right, number 4. Hi, Brian. I'm a happy level 1er. Awesome. As a reminder, you used to post your entry and exit levels for all your crypto trades on the site. I can't seem find this section anymore on the site. It was very useful and inspiring when I was considering learning the process during my trial period. Did you stop doing it? Honestly, I haven't really bought a hell of a lot in the market recently, but I think I tell you guys, number 1, and especially if you're on the site, we've got Brian's big fat trading bot. So I try to post all of my trades that I do in here. So you can see the last trade I did was November 9th, reporting that. And interestingly enough, there is the buy. And that trade, it's just sitting there, just picking its nose. So that's, where are we here? Oh, did I show that? No, I didn't. I think I showed it on the wrong screen. Let's try that again. All right. Here is Brian's big fat bot on the Rocket Chat. Brian's trading signals, Brian's big bot. So whenever I do stuff in the market, I try and post in here. As well on this. So this is in the Rocket Chat interface. And that trade that you just saw on the screen is this trade. So it's just sitting there doing its thing. Hasn't had the stop level hit. Hasn't had the profit taking level hit. You can see how long ago that trade was. What is this? This is a daily chart. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 days ago. That's kind of the activity that I've been doing in crypto lately. I mean, technically the trade's above water, but nothing's really happened for me to do anything. I did also too on the site, I have been doing this recently, and if you are if you're a level 1er, then you should be able to follow my trading journal and my trading log. I think I showed this earlier. You can go on, and I'm not exactly sure, maybe on Tuesday, if somebody can remind me while we have Sjord on the call, to show people how they can add my trading journal to their dashboard, because you can see other journals on the user directory. So you should be able to go into the user directory. You should be able to, you see there, Sjord has got his journal public. Brian, he's got his journal public. So you should be able to go in and follow, and everything that I do in the market these days, I'm trying to use the site tools as much as possible. So everything I'm doing in the market right now, I'm journaling feverishly. And you see, unfortunately today, and I suppose I should post it in Brian's big fat bot, but I was, as I had said there a moment ago, I bought a few crypto names a few weeks ago. Other than that, I haven't really been doing a hell of a lot in crypto. Here's one sushi that I bought, again, just bumping along. I mean, look how many days I've been sitting there just doing nothing. But it's the same logic. I mean, nothing's really changed here. Now, this one here, Uni, you saw on the dashboard, it was giving a negative reading there, and I looked at this and I'm humming and hawing about this originally when I did the write-up, and you can go read about this in my journal. But originally in the write-up, I had taken a risk. I bought it at like 7, and I was going to risk all the way down to 3 and change. And that's more than a 50% loss of my capital. And yet you can clearly see this was an inverted head and shoulders. And if this structure failed, then probably the odds are we're going to go down and test that low. And sure enough, that structure did fail. And I was just sitting there analyzing this. I did a bunch of A, B, C, Ds. And interestingly enough, it looks like the market wants to go after my low there, which would stop me out. So I just made an executive decision today that, you know what, I shouldn't be in this trade. It was kind of, if I was going to play this inverted head and shoulders, fine, buy the neckline, but live with the results. And the fact that this thing failed, you just got to walk away. And so that's basically what I did today. I said, you know what, I don't need to be a hero here. And I just took the loss, and it was like a $62 loss. Big fucking deal. But that is what it is. I was going to add to the trade and make a bigger position. Then I was like, do I really need to be a hero here? No, the idea failed. So let's just get the hell out of there. So you can always come in and check my journal. That's where I've been doing a lot of site updates. But I will go back. That's a good point. I should go back at the very least. I'll take this image and dump it into Brian's rocket chat room there and just simply say, walked on this long idea on a $62 loss. So other than that, I haven't been doing a hell of a lot in the market, you know, to be perfectly honest with you. I have been, what have I been doing this quarter that's sort of been keeping me busy? I've been really trying to get my head back into day trading, which I don't really post a lot of sort of like Brian's Big Bot. Those are sort of more like swing trades, position trades. I'm not really buying a heck of a lot because you see what my sort of thoughts are with regard to the broader market. But I have been doing a lot of practicing day trading, and actually a day trading room, been very, very busy in there. So you notice, and my day trading's been kind of splotchy here. You know, make a couple bucks, lose. Oh, that was a nice little position trade there. Still got a couple of these position trades open, but you see, I mean, my day trading's been a little bit tough here recently. It is good to see. I am, booking small profits here and there, but this is what I've been really working on over the past quarter. And I would tell you, man, it's been a bit of a slog for me. If anything, hopefully what this is a good demonstrator of is don't blow yourself up. You're all going to have losing streaks. It's just the way it goes. You just got to work yourself through them. I need to get a little more patient and disciplined with my day trading setups. Anyway, been really cool. We have a day trading room up and running, and a couple of OGers have come back in, and they have graciously offered to work with me to try and get my day trading back on course. But the way that you get through all this is journaling and logging, and just keep practice. So I hope that speaks to that. You're right. I haven't been doing a lot of position trading. And the ones that I've been trying to post in the lounge, but I just haven't been doing a hell of a lot. But I will post in the lounge or in that Brian's Big Bot room if I do something position wise or swing wise. Yeah. Well, and if anything, good that you reach out. Let's try and get Brian back on track. See if I can post some more ideas for you. I know Julian's posting in his room a lot, so that's good to see. But like I said there a few minutes ago, I haven't been doing a lot of position trading lately. Number 5, and I've got enough on the books. I don't want to make it sound like I don't have my fingers in the fire. I've got the sushi on. If the sushi wants to do something, let's rock and roll. I've got Link on. Link came real close to stopping me out. But back to looking respectable. I was going to actually add to this trade here. But no W came in. They just did a big old, fractal low and just launched, which means they're probably going to come back down and test the low. I might do something there, but right now there's just nothing to do on any of these things. So I'm just sitting twiddling my thumbs. This Filecoin, I think I took this trade. I thought I posted that I got stopped out on this. But interesting how he's just been bobbing and weaving and trying to put some sort of bottom. If we can get a W that comes in here and then a nice Wyckoff check, I might just go and buy this position back. But right now you can see I took some stabs in the stock market, the crypto stocks, and a lot of them just got absolutely destroyed. So I had to admit that I was wrong, get the hell out of there, and preserve capital. Anyway, I don't know whether that answers your question, but good reminder, Brian. Just make sure to post on the site everything that you're doing. Okay, number 5. Hi, I like the library on the site. Thank you for it. However, many links are not working. Could you please fix, replace, or remove dead links? Well, so my question to you is, can you please tell us which ones are dead? I can't go through here and click on every single one. There's probably about 5 million links in there. I don't know whether you guys have seen this library. It's huge. But the problem here, and Sjord, he's been trying to get me to get a little bit of religion about this over the years. But what I just typically do is if I see something that I like, I'll just go and, throw the link. Fractals in nature, right? This is look at that. Yeah. So this is a PBS documentary that I just grabbed the YouTube link and threw it in there, but now they're saying the video is unavailable. No idea why. So there's just, when I see stuff in here, so my request to you is, can you please post the links, which ones you think are dead, and then I'll try and go and fix them. But just saying, go and fix the dead links, there's no way I can do that off the top of my head. So, whoever you are, I noticed that you didn't put your name in here. Whoever you are, you just volunteered to please post the links that are not working so that I can go and fix them. And thank you so much for volunteering. I love the fact that you guys volunteer so graciously, and so you just give your time and your attention to detail away for free. I love that about you guys. So thank you so much for volunteering. Appreciate it. All right, number 6. Hi, Brian. You mentioned that market cycles usually end in a blow-off top. Yeah, but this past crypto bull didn't really end in a blow-off top. Sure it did. Holy moly, that's ridiculous, a blow-off top. I made a huge mistake by not taking profits going into the fall of 21 because I was expecting things to play out like 17, 18. Well, that unfortunately is what you have to learn. And the worst part about it is, were there signs that the end of the market was coming near? I would say the fact that you had guys like Do Kwon thumbing his nose at regulators, that was a perfect sign. So every time you start seeing that kind of conversation, that's a major warning sign. You saw Magic Internet Money. The guy is had 10,000 people listening to him on Twitter, and every bloody second word out of his mouth was the F word. I mean, it was ridiculous. And he was like a rock star. That is a major warning sign. I don't know how we spin this SBF guy. But the Doge money, don't you guys remember? What was the name? Let's see if any of you guys remember. What was the name? I was going to change my name to some silly name. And it is your reference that if you ever hear Brian talking about changing his name, and we'll even remember this as our reference, every single cycle peaks, I will start talking about changing my name to Sidonia. Some of you remember. Good. So, no, I would actually disagree with you. There were so many warning signs that this was the top of the market. It was sad. And, the funny thing about all this is when everybody started to go crazy about, MetaMask, and I never got involved in any of that stuff because, frankly speaking, it scared the shit out of me. Hearing that kind of talk, Unfortunately, I'm the type of guy that I actually think a little bit of regulation is actually a good thing. You guys don't want to hear that at all, but I would say, you saw what happened with Doe. You saw what happened with Magic Internet Money. You saw what happened with Sam Bankman Dickhead. I would argue that this is no different. There's nothing different. I mean, that guy, what was his name? Michael Saylor guy, taking out ridiculous loans to buy Bitcoins. And then, no offense, but Alan is not a very good market timer. He's a horrible market timer. I think he's very good at cornering markets. And I think he cornered the Doge market, and basically he became the market maker. And if he wanted the Doge market to rally, all he had to do was just turn on his algos and away she zooms. But him going on Saturday Night Live and not cautioning anybody that the fact that the damn thing had gone up like 1,000x off of the lows, man, was that ever a warning sign? And also, too, I told you before, whenever you see that Remy guy start to post videos about any type of asset, that's usually a beautiful contrarian signal. So that, he basically came out with his dog money video right at the top of the market. So I think there were a bunch of warning signs. The only problem here is no two tops are going to look exactly the same. And if anything, we were screaming about momentum divergences. God, I remember at one point we even had old students of TRI actually come out publicly and say things like, well, not TRI, thank heavens they didn't say that, but technical analysis doesn't matter. Ignore the warning signs. This time it's different. That in itself, my friends, is basically the tell that no, it isn't different. It's actually exactly the same. And then what I would say is you have to teach yourself, we teach in the education program the 4-year sort of venture cap cycle. And the cool part about it is Bitcoin has this halvening cycle. I think that the easiest roadmap is for all of you, if you really want to make money from trading, you're not in this for the circle jerk, is to try and really learn that actually this Bitcoin cycle, the 4-year halvening cycle, it is so cliche. It is so predictable. I mean, that's the irony of this all, folks. Stunningly predictable. So, I think I might disagree that there were not warning signs. I think there were. It's just, unfortunately, when you're at the top of the market, nobody wants the party to end. And when a Brian guy goes out there and goes, 4-year cycle, be careful here. Don't go and buy $50,000 Bitcoin. You're asking for trouble. I'm the type of guy that at 50,000 Bitcoin, I should have a whole bunch of risk-free positions. So I'm not necessarily going to be saying, oh, this is the top, sell everything. Really, what I would expect is I've already sold halves on doubles, triples, whatever. I've got all my original capital back, and it's just the free shit that's still on the books. So, for example, like Luna, I bought Luna for TRI at like $5, $6 a coin. Actually, Luna is a really, really good example of how I approach the market. And so, you have a situation where, I don't know where this shows. Yeah. So here's Brian down here buying. So I sold half on a double, sold another half on a double, sold another half on a double. I mean, what kind of risk do I have being in this market anymore? Hopefully you get the idea. None. Zero. I'm just playing with the market's money. Am I going to go into the business of calling the top? No. What I'll do is I still have some left on the books. I have orders to sell another half on a double at 122 or 123. And I just missed my fill. I think it got up to something like $119 or something like that. So that's the way that I play the market, is that by the time we actually start getting up to the tops, I haven't got any original risk left in the story. But I'm not going to go into the business of calling tops because of exactly what you saw. Especially with people going, well, technical analysis doesn't matter and stuff. I mean, the market will design to screw you over. It's designed to screw as many people over as much of the time as possible. Could you make the argument that this was nothing more than just a big fuck you, excuse my French, to YouTube algorithms and stuff to goad you into being bullishly here? Yeah, I absolutely think that's exactly what happened here. Is this message here that this market is a blow-off top? Absolutely, but you have to recognize that the bottom came into the market. I remember Kevin buying the goddamn floor the day the market bottomed at like $3,900. And here we are at 60 G's, and you're telling me there aren't signs that this is a blow-off top? I mean, what is that? That's a 20x, right? Roughly, somewhere in that area. You have to appreciate that you can't come in on the buy side. And of course, our hot little porno persons here, everybody make darn sure to go check out the hot girls and pics for you. You better do it quickly because poop, and he's gone. Oh, well. Yeah, you took a shot there, X-girls, XXY girls, cocksucking sons of bitches, losers. And you got wiped out. Nice try. You didn't think I was watching, did you? So, if anything, whoever's asking this question, always ask yourself, where is the Bitcoin price relative to the cost of production? Because this is fundamental value. And when you see the price go over here, you have to go, maybe I better cool my jets. I'll tell you, it's an easy way to keep yourself out of trouble. But the worst part about it is I tried to tell all you guys, don't go in on the buy side up here, but it was like nobody would listen. So frustrating. Anyway, so I would disagree. I think there were actually a lot of warnings. Okay, number 7. And what time is it? It's 1 o'clock. So, yeah, I got to get out of here in sort of the next 10, 15 minutes. So let's try and wind this up. If you do add any more further questions, I'll have to try and answer them in the daily brief tomorrow. So, hi, Brian. I asked this question of Graham, but I'd like it if you could add your own words or whether looking at a large weekly escalating volume in BTO and OBV is a good screener in deciding which cryptos to put into LOL position trades. From 2023 trough to 25 times, there are many top 100s that are still showing high OBV but do not across the board. OBV is a great indicator. I mean, it just simply shows that money is pouring into a space. It doesn't necessarily mean that the market has to be at the bottom here today. I mean, the one thing about capitalism and markets is markets can remain far longer than any of us can remain solvent. If you fancy yourself a market aficionado, you should be able to tell me who said that line. It's a famous line. Markets can remain illogical far longer than any of us can remain solvent. And if anything, if you do know who said that line, you know how long ago that was said and how really this whole process of suckering people into buying overvalued assets, then watching the market collapse, come back down to value, and then take like a year or two. Remember I showed you that Nasdaq chart? Like how long did it take for Amazon to finally sort of clear off the dust of the .com blow up and actually start being a bull again? It took a while. So this is probably a really, that's kind of weird. This is probably a really good example of, that's not really what I wanted to show you guys. We'll go like this, right there. I like, and I think that Bitcoin is going to do something very similar to this, is notice how long this took to bottom, right? So if we go, say, from here to here to here to to here, to even here, to here, to here, something like that, right? I like this kind of pattern as a sort of keep you honest indicator kind of idea. I'm just going to eyeball this here just so you understand the message I'm trying to get across. I like to call these saucer bottoms, right? And a bottom in the market should take a while to develop. So you can see from us entering, crash scenario, us actually entering in, well, we're probably finally coming back into value. Brian in his crazy reload zones. And I'm almost tempted to rewrite the course material and say that our venture capital reload zone is 78.6 to 88.6. I certainly like that thinking. So you might even argue that by the time we get down to here, and remember markets, so what's the rule that we use to try and determine value? And I kind of told you this before when I was doing the weekly commodity trend survey. Value should be, or not value, but the mean should be the 50% level of whatever the previous trading range was. So if we go 50% rule, notice this is actually the mean, or sort of what fair value is on this asset. So you might argue that this is the market remaining illogical to the upside. There's value. Then on the other side, so this is the runaway bull, stupidity, you might argue that over here is undervalued. And as the market's working its way lower, where is the mean? 50% level, 50% level, 50% level, 50% level. And notice by the time we actually start making W's again and we wash out, this is the market down here now. The market can remain illogical far longer than anybody can remain solvent. Now the market is ridiculously undervalued. What's our sort of our mean? Well, 50% rule. And notice, what a surprise. Look how the market came back and just doink, hit that 50% level and then backed away. So you might argue that this is the market being logical, 50% levels, and this is the market being illogical, ridiculously overbought, ridiculously oversold. And we can sit here for quite a while being ridiculously oversold. You might find that OBV just keeps working up, that the smart money keeps buying and buying and buying. And you might even see things like bullish momentum divergences develop in OBV as the market is going through this illogically oversold market state. And it happens. It's just the way market cycles work. Just like you couldn't stop people from buying this thing up here, you couldn't convince somebody to buy it down here. It's impossible. And the irony of it all is we had exactly the same conversation in Bitcoin. I did a video with that Da Vinci guy through here, and you could not convince people to buy Bitcoins down here. In fact, the consensus in the space, there was a guy, I'm sure he well remembers, he was very bearish through here. I won't name names. And he publicly said Bitcoin's got to go down to $1,000. Well, I mean, the irony of it all, same sort of thing. If we just do a fib from this high back down to this low and say, what's the mean? There's the 50% level. So this was stupidly overbought. Market remains illogical far longer than any of us remain solvent. This is actually the market being stupidly oversold. The market remains logical far longer than any of us remain solvent. And what is the mean? Well, the mean is the 50% rule. And like I said, we did videos, and that was off of this. You can actually go. I gave you that marketing page earlier to go and see. That was this interview right here. Dav and I had a long conversation about Bitcoin should come back to its 50% rule, and it did. I mean, this is the mean. This is normal. This was the market remaining illogical far longer than anybody can remain solvent. So Just to say OBV is the key? No, because sometimes you actually see OBV go into divergence for very long periods of time. It just happens. It might be interesting just to see if that was the case here. So there's OBV. Actually, here you can see OBV didn't bottom until the actual bottom came in. It is what it is. Sometimes you'll see names where actually it might even just be interesting to see what Bitcoin's doing right now. But sometimes you see at the bottom ends of ranges, OBV can actually go into divergence. And then you're sort of like, well, geez, that looks kind of interesting. So right now you can see OBV kind of bumping along the bottom end of his range. And if anything, this is where I want you to also include the volume impetus conversation. So I don't know whether you guys did OBV just yet, but if you look at this volume impetus, you can see where are the bulls? There are no bulls anywhere. I see lots of bears, big bear, big bear, big bear. If anything, what we want to see is now give me a nice low volume bear bar, something that's lower than this. That's 8,000 coins on a weekly basis. So I want to see the bear basically go straight to sleep, and I would like to see the bull actually wake up. So what I would suggest you do is juxtapose the volume impetus conversation with OBV. So it will help you understand the context of the market. So you see in OBV, we have this big rolling top, and now kind of trending down. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the bears are wide awake and they're dominating. Where the fuck are the bulls? So we want to see, the bulls actually start to push this indicator back up, and its moving average do something like that. And that will be on more and more bulls participating. And imagine those are green chunky bars. There are some names that are doing that, so I wouldn't fault you. But what I would say is, do we ever take a trade just based off of one reason alone? No. Do you want to use OBV divergences as your indicator confirmation tool? I would suggest you use it in conjunction with the volume impetus. I would also say, too, that OBV divergences are more powerful because they're volume. They're more powerful than price momentum divergences. So I like OBV divs. If anything, what I really want you to show me is show me an OBV and price momentum divergence. Ooh, that's sexy. And, speaking of Davo, right, we even have on the site, and it's super cool, we have just a general screener library. This was the setup that Dav actually built while a student at TRI, and it works very well. I mean, these are basically, and this, how ironic, BSV, and I'm hearing like Bitcoin Cash, and all these names from last cycle are all starting to come alive. It's hilarious. But BSV, I don't know whether you can do that. What is that? And I'm wasting this. So this is BTC versus BSV. I mean, I'd just be curious versus BTC. Just see what the heck this thing looks like. Yeah, so look at that. Here's an example. You can see the bulls are waking up, right? And you can see there's W's coming in on RSI. I mean, it's not the best looking signal. That's a weekly chart. Let's go down to the daily chart. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Hey, there you go. So you can see, look at, this is rising bullish volume. That's a good sign, right? And you can see, look at the W's coming in on OBV. And look at what price is doing. So, ironically enough, I think our big honking signal sort of came in through here. So, I mean, go figure. This is an interesting market, right? I do think that there's a bit of a rotation going on here to a certain degree. I mean, I'm not gonna. This is really important where you want to really know the fundamentals. Do you really want to get involved in Bitcoin, BSV, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision? That's another conversation for another call. Totally different. But you might argue that low there, well, actually no divergence here, but not bad looking OBV bottom. And, gee whiz, price is moving up. I also saw BCH, right? This was Roger Ver's coin, if I'm not mistaken. So same sort of thing. Beautiful railroad tracks there. Interesting. OBV, nice bottom there. No divergence, but still good looking bottom. And what a surprise, price is moving up. Now the problem here, of course, is that the rally window is relatively limited. I think once we run into this 200 SMA, we're probably going to run into a major traffic zone there. But it is what it is. Trader's life. Actually, here's not a bad example of an OBV div. So you can see from these lows down to that low. That's lower lows in price, but notice the selling pressure, that's a higher low. So can we get the MACD to push itself up through here? You can also see too on OBV, there are the lows in OBV. There is the low on that push there. Is that a div? We want to see the volume push up through here. You see the green chunky bars, right? This is what we learn in the volume impetus. Notice, Notice green chunky bars, and also notice the bears are disappearing here. So what I would suggest you do is you really want to use the OBV study in conjunction with the volume impetus concept. But here's not a bad example where this is a potential div forming here. Now, I don't even know, is Roger Ver even in the space anymore? Is he using this stuff? I have no idea. Interesting. Look at all these divs versus the bear div. There's only one bear div right now and 11 bull divs. Wow. So I hope that helps speak to that. If I see any more in my sort of perusing, I really have to get out of here, guys. But if I see any more, I'll see if I can mention that in the next day or two ahead. And Chris, maybe you can remind me too. Okay, last question, then I gotta hop. So, hi Brian, do you recommend getting your breadth indicator for level 1ers during the Black Friday deal? Would it be useful for us, or is it too early? Absolutely useful for you, because really what I want you to do is I want you to get into the habit, especially if you're a crypto fan, right? You can see, you tell me, is the crypto market in a bullish setup phase right now? I think so. Could you be just nothing more than hunting bullish setups and paper trading, finishing those 100 trades? Could you be finished that? Because keep in mind, and most people didn't see this coming, right? Notice this, what I showed you, 50% rule. This conversation was in January, February, and notice by the summer of that year, boom, we have now done the 50% bounce. So if you're going through the level 1 and you're just finishing now and you're sort of like, well, should I stay focused? Should I, keep watching? Should I use the indicator? I'll tell you, could we get a nice little dump here in early 2023 into sort of January, February lows? And can it, for crypto, can it produce a signal? And actually, I think you'll see it also in the stock market. But this was just an absolute gift of a buy signal in the stock market about a month and a half ago. This signal. And this is what I really, is this worth your price of subscription? Go and spend $300-400, whatever you got the year subscription. Could you make $300-400 out of waiting? And in this particular case, it was the country funds and the stock market going uber bearish here, both oversold in the short and medium term, and it producing this trade, which was just a monster home run hit. Could we see crypto do this into January, February, and then you get your signal to go and buy your Bitcoins at like $12,000 or something like that? We get a nice little turn, and then we rally up into the middle of the year. And, this is June, July, and you've made like 5-10 G's off of that trade. Was it worth waiting and getting that signal? And also, too, putting the time and effort into, watching how these signals develop, wherever the hell the damn thing went, watching how these signals develop so that you can use this now for the rest of your life and time the market perfectly going forward. Is that worth spending $300 just so you can come and study this every single day and you can get really good at getting patient and disciplined and waiting for these uber buy or uber sell signals to take positions? I think it's worth the investment. Is that a function of your education plan? Well, I'm going to, get into the habit of every single day asking whether the breadth indicator is giving us a buy or sell signal, asking whether the breadth tool, wherever the hell the damn thing is, just checking in every single day. Well, I guess I'll do it over here. And asking whether the histogram is either overbought or oversold. And you tell me, as it stands right now, this is as of the 25th. Are we getting an uber buy signal there on crypto today? The answer should be really, really easy. So is it worth spending the time to educate yourself and take advantage of that Black Friday deal to have this in your back pocket? And through this whole process, I want you practicing journaling, practicing trade logging, practicing what is my setup, am I following my setup? Every single journal entry, you have pictures in here so that you can clearly see, well, head and shoulders patterns are in my trading plan. Turns out this head and shoulders plan setup didn't work. So as a result, I'm taking money off the table and walking away. Hi, Jimin. Nice to see you. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring Brian's bell. Okay, I have to be up at the house by 2 o'clock, so that means I have to literally get out of here now. I'll come back and revisit these questions tomorrow morning in the daily brief if there's any follow-up. If you did, maybe write in another color. Great, thank you for answering my question, Brian, but I still was wondering about this. And then that way I'll see that you did hear my response to your question, and we can just pick up the ball from the conversation tomorrow in the daily brief. Okay, don't mean to be curt, but time is limited. If everybody could give me a nice PMA wish for Liam and myself this afternoon. Number one priority is to give the boy an awesome rest of his Sunday. Wish me all luck and wishing Liam luck for good karma. If you can take advantage of the Black Friday offers, I think, basically the school program, if you're not educated on how to run a small business of trading, get your butt in here. Just do it now. Just get it done. And this price is ridiculous. I mean, like literally, we're going backwards here. We got like hyperinflation in our society, and yet we're going backwards in price. Like, what the hell? So take advantage of it. Just get it done, and then that way I'll know that you're not going to blow yourself up when trading with me and with TRI community. If you are a site member and you'd like to take advantage of the breadth dashboard tool, like I said, I've gone and added this whole crypto matrix for you guys. So this should be an awesome platform for you guys to use going forward. I've added it as a page. I'll ask Sior to include it into the add-on function. And I tell you, man, I could literally now run an entire whole seminar, everything off of just our dashboard now. And I think it behooves you to just get used to this and just use it as much as you possibly can. And I think that the price point is agreeable to the point where you'll get your money back with just one or two half-decent trades. But you just have to be damn patient and you have to be disciplined. And as I just said there a moment ago, if you are sort of very brand new to this, then your job is to simply sit and wait and watch. And I need to see Uber sell signals on or Uber oversold signals on the crypto histogram and the crypto breadth indicator itself show it flashing W's and upward pointing teal moving averages, and then I'll know, all right, it's time to get in there and make some money. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. Hope you guys got some good value out of all that. PMA for the win. Thank you so much, everybody, for your contributions on the super chats. That was a really nice treat. I wasn't expecting that. Really? Isn't that interesting? I wonder OTC Big B would say something like that. That's fascinating. You know, OTC Big B, if you need some help in life, and you'd like to maybe talk to somebody about turning your attitude around and trying to be positive, making fun of a special needs child, that's a terrible, terrible thought. You're a really bad person, OTG Big B. Bad person. All right, have yourselves a great day, everybody. Let's try and finish on a positive note. Let's all give hugs and kisses out to Liam. He's a special needs guy, and the last thing in the world he needs is negative karma here. So PMA for the win, all the best. And the only thing left for Brian to say is bye for now.